Chiefs, Kingdom ACU crew, welcome back to All Chiefed Up. We're back with another live breaking podcast for that ass, Steve. We just found out some news about cornerback Jaylen Watson. Ian Rappaport come out and says the Chiefs, Jaylen Watson, one of their emerging young players on defense, suffered a fractured ankle in Sunday's win over the 49ers. Are saying the sources he'll have more imaging done today to determine if it's season ending or if he'll return. But tough reality for an up-and-coming corner. We talked about this last night a little bit, man. Is it going to be that big of a deal for the Chiefs? Do you think they just plug and replace and go on?
Well, I think Jaylen Watson's been the only solid cornerback besides Trent McDuffie. The other guys haven't been terrible, but they haven't been great either. There's times when Najee Johnson's getting burned like crazy. There were times when Joshua Williams was getting burned like crazy. But one of those guys are going to have to step up. And then also, I think Shamari Connor, they're going to start using him more in that corner position too. So I think that's what we're going to see.
Yeah, we also see Chris Roland Wallace come in and play some meaningful snaps. He had only had one defensive snap. He comes in, gets a big pick yesterday versus Brock Purdy. I think the Chiefs have a lot of depth there. It's young depth. It's unproven talent, but Najee has looked pretty good so far throughout the season. He did have that one blunder yesterday where they caught him looking in the backfield. He didn't get his head around. He didn't go find the DB. He kind of lost him. Josh Williams has kind of underperformed this year from what we've seen so far, but hopefully he can get it together. I'm not super worried, but losing Jaylen Watson is not like a small thing. This is just another big piece pulled right out of the equation for the Chiefs. And I know we're 6-0 right now, and it feels really good to be 6-0. But you start to ask yourself, how many more of these hard injuries with this time that we're missing? These are key pieces. These aren't like backup special teamers we're losing. These are big guys week in and week out, and you wonder how many blows can you take before the Chiefs start stumbling a little bit? And is maybe Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes just too established to let that happen?
That's the $1 million question, I guess.
Right.
I mean, you're on the road to a three-peat. You're on the road chasing history, something that's never been done before, and you're getting thrown haymakers left and right. Like everything's starting to add up. Like all the good years of health and everything's kind of crashing down on you right now. And it's kind of about how the team reacts, not just the players, but also coaching and management and everything like that. Are you going to supplement this stuff, or are you going to sit there with your thumbs up your ass? I mean, that's pretty much what it is. And right now, I'm not saying that's what Brett Veach is doing, but from what we can tell, he's got both of them up there. He's not doing anything.
Well,
I mean, we found out they weren't even chasing Amari Cooper, who was just a third-round pick and could have helped our wide receiver room. And then you turn around the next week and realize that Juju Smith-Schuster, his health sucks too. You know, something we knew. That's why you let him go the first time. So I don't know. It really just depends on how they react, or do you just sit around and hope things work out?
Well, I think the receiver room is different than the corner room at this point. The receiver room is way more depleted, in my opinion. Now, will they go out and get somebody? Maybe. It's been rumored Deontay Johnson. We've heard the whole rumor about Nate Taylor saying that they wasn't even in on Amari Cooper from the Browns, but that was only because Brett wasn't willing to give up a third-round pick. That's what he said.
Even though we have two.
Yeah, they do have two, but yeah, it seems
Come
like
on,
at this
Brett.
point, It seems like at this point, if you want to try to bargain shop, the days of bargain shopping are over. It's almost like, look, the dance is this week. Like, it's about to end. We're about to end. We can't thrift store shop for a nice new dress. You're going to have to go pay for it.
Well, I think the most frustrating part about the wide receiver room this past week was the fact that we knew Juju was having an issue with his hamstring on Thursday. And we knew we were already depleted in the wide receiver room. And they didn't even bother to bring up Nico. They didn't bother to bring up Justin Ross. They didn't bother to do anything.
Where does the line start and where does the line end? Like, if you were making a graph, where does we're on the practice squad, Nico, Justin, Ross, you're not good enough to come up to the roster. But then on the roster, you have Sky Moore, who continues to just be a horse's ass.
Horse's ass. That's what I was going to say.
Where does the line? Like, how can these guys not get above him? Like, why aren't the Chiefs willing to let somebody else have a little bit of a shot here? And then on the back end, it seems as if they're not really trying to go get the wide receiver, but that could just all be a smoke show that maybe they're going to get somebody that they have their eye on, be it Deontay Johnson. I don't think DK Metcalf's actually going to make it out of, Seattle. All these teams, all these scrub teams with 3 wins think that they're Super Bowl contenders. So they're just not giving up on anybody, and it cracks me up. It's like there's 3-4 tops, Super Bowl contenders here.
So here's the thing. Now that Jaylen Watson is going to be out for an extended period of time, and we know that we're going to have to rely on Najee Johnson or Joshua Williams to kind of supplement for that.
Yeah.
Do you think, would it surprise you at all if Brett Veach didn't pick up the phones and not call for a wide receiver and bring in some sort of corner? Like, would that blow your mind? Because it wouldn't me. It's almost like the most Brett Veach thing ever. Like, everyone's pounding the table for a wide receiver. Everybody's wanting Patrick Mahomes to get some help, and he goes and grabs a corner before the trade deadline.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, right? But
they obviously don't have a lot of faith in Josh Williams or Najee Johnson for that matter. So, I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, we'll see how it works. I mean, honestly, I think they've got enough. You've got Najee, you've got Josh Williams, Jaden Hicks played well yesterday, Chris Rowland-Wallace, Chamari, and I think Jaden and Chamari, and I think even Chris Rowland-Wallace proved yesterday, they could all be efficient nickels, but maybe they can take snaps on the outside in limited roles. Like, maybe you could just have a nice little rotation between Najee, Josh Williams, and then maybe one of those other 3 safeties that can step in and possibly go, a few snaps. But I don't know. I think Najee Johnson's okay enough to do it. I think he's got great technique. I think he's fine. He's not really allowed a lot of catches this year. I think yesterday may have been the first or second catch he's allowed all season. So, yeah, he had a little bit of a blip, but I don't think it's anything to panic about. They did say this is going to be a 6 to 8 week injury, but if he has to have surgery, it could be 12 plus. So I think they're going to do more imaging and different things to see where they have to go. But even 6 to 8 weeks, Steve, this is starting to push up into the meat of the schedule, into the playoff push right there at the end. But I guess on the bright side, 6-0, we're 2 games above everybody in the AFC for that, first round bye there in the playoffs. So to have the Arrowhead Invitational held here in 2024, 2025. So, I mean, I guess you have to just keep looking at the positives. We're just going to have to keep rolling with the punches, man.
That's all you can do. That's what good teams do, though. And that's another thing. We've noticed over the course of this season, we're almost halfway through the season already, which is wild to think about. We're going into between week 8, week 9. That's the middle of your season. So, I mean, we're already halfway there, which is crazy. But we've kind of noticed so far that this team has kind of turned into a more run the ball, smack you in the mouth, beat your ass with our defense type team, as opposed to put up a bunch of points on the scoreboard and you can't catch up. Like, that's not what we are anymore. So when things happen to your defense, which is a big part of your winning formula this season, I think it's something you definitely have to pay attention to. You have to have some sort of a sense of urgency. And if you don't think Joshua Williams or Najee Johnson is enough to be that second corner, then I think you do have to consider making a move there?
Yes and no. I mean, if you think about it, if you look at our practice squad, we've still got Nick Jones. Nick Jones
We
knows
don't
the
use
system
the
pretty
practice
well.
squad. We
Well, I'm
saw
just
that on
saying.
the other side of the ball.
They've got him. Nick Jones, a lot of people forgot Nick Jones even plays on this team. He was right there on the cusp of making the team, being a contributor. He played some last year. He was okay. So you still got him that can come up and play a little bit. They also went out and they picked up Darius Rush. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He's been with the team in some capacity for the past, little bit. They picked him up. They traded for Eric Scott Jr. from the Cowboys. They picked him up when he went off waivers or whatever they did there, trade, picked him up, whatever it was. I think they actually traded. They've got Keith Taylor on the practice squad. Keith Taylor had a pretty good preseason. He made a couple plays. He got a nice pick. They liked what he was doing. He's got size, 6'3", 200. They've got some options there. I don't think they panic and go trade for a corner. I think if anything, they'll pull from there. I honestly believe they think they're deeper in corner on the practice squad with Eric Scott and Keith Taylor and Nick Jones than they are with Nico and Justin Ross. I think they feel they're better with the corners on the practice squad than they are with the young wide receivers. That's why they've not called up the young wide receivers. And a lot of Chiefs Kingdom's wanting Justin Ross. They're wanting Nico. But at the same time, I don't know if they trust either one of them to come up and play the amount of snaps that even Sky Moore plays because, yes, Sky Moore drops the ball when he's given that one shot a game, but for the other few plays, he's pass blocking, he knows the routes, he's not causing, timeouts to be burned here and there, but honestly, I don't think that's enough. I think you've got to start going to the pool a little bit. Let's start dipping our feet in and see what we got there because it's getting a little out of control in my opinion. They've got to make a move here.
Yeah, you can't just drown. You can't just flap your arms and just sink, Like something's got to get done. So I think whether you're talking about the defensive side of the ball or the receiver situation, I think we got to see some movement here soon. I mean, trade deadline's just in a couple of weeks, right? So, we're getting pretty close to it.
It's usually after week 8, so it's got to be coming up here soon.
We're getting pretty close to it. So if they're going to do something, they're going to have to do it. And, that's the thing. Like, you keep talking about these guys on the practice squad. My point was that there's some guys on the practice squad that could help in the wide receiver room, and they've not gave it the time of day. So I don't know. Maybe it's different, like you said. Maybe it's different with the cornerbacks. But just wanted to say I appreciate you guys being here. A little early live stream today. So hit that like button for us. Get this out to more people. And also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, you should do that. That's where you're going to get all your Chiefs content, the best on the internet. So do that for us. And, yeah, man, I don't know. I just, like you opened the show with, the Chiefs are 6-0. Like, this year has started better than anyone really could have thought. Because even the realist, like, even the bandwagon Chiefs fans probably thought we'd at least lose one game out of the teams that we've played so far. And the real ones thought maybe we could lose 2-3 games. And here we are sitting at 6-0, so we're in a really good position. We're in the driver's seat in AFC. But like you said, just how many more licks can you take from the injury bug before it starts to become a problem? And then when it does become a problem, which I think it already has been one, how long can you ignore it? How long can you Band-Aid it before it starts to become a real issue and starts causing you L's?
Yeah, $1 million question. Well, we do know if they want to make a trade, they've got to get it done by November 5th. Excuse me, November 5th, 4 p.m. Eastern. So they got about 2 weeks from tomorrow. You got 2 weeks. Like, you can't be sitting on your hands here. I think the Chiefs got to be proactive.
Well, don't you think as far as the receiver thing goes, I feel like you need to get it done like today.
You need to get it done quick enough to where they can
wouldn't
start
you like to have a
contributing.
guy for this week?
Yeah, you almost need to get something in.
I understand it's the Raiders, and I could play receiver for the Chiefs and probably do well against the Raiders. But I feel like that would be a great week to get somebody in, get them acclimated, get them learning the playbook, and get them out there and get them on the field.
Well, you've seen that Sky Moore's not going to step up. He's just not going to do it. Props to Mecole Hardman. He actually, for the last 2 weeks, has looked serviceable. Of course, 2 weeks ago, they barely used him. It was just quick pitch and catches. But yesterday, he played the 49ers. He done what he done against the 49ers. Too bad we're not going to play the 49ers again this week because you'll probably see Mecole Hardman go back into oblivion. But other than that, Justin Watson is not stepping up this year. For all the hype of he is a comforting, he's a guy that Mahomes knows, they trust him. He's just not doing it.
Well, that's been bullshit the whole time, right? That's just what everyone says to be nice to Justin Watson because he's a good guy and he's not the worst receiver in the world. But let's be honest, he's a mid-ass receiver. He's not great. He's not even good, really. Like, it's not somebody that's going to move the needle. It's not someone that's going to put up a lot of numbers. He just is never going to be that. He never was going to be that. Right. And I think he's just one of those guys that Brett Veach and them just cap around, like McCole Hardman and whoever else, like, well, they're not terrible. It'll work. We have Patrick Mahomes. Yeah. I think we're past that, right?
I think that they let Patrick Mahomes take too much. What I don't know how to explain it, but I think they put too much on Mahomes just because he can handle it. In my opinion, you've got to go out and get him some help right now. Like, you're in the midst of a 3-peat. We got to accomplish the 3-peat. You can't start the season 6-0 in the midst of a 3-peat and then just let it squander it away because injuries just keep piling up in the wide receiver room. Can't do it. Juju's not a long-term option. He's just not. This cat could be in or out every week. You never know what you're getting with him. And we all knew this was coming. You knew it was coming. So you've got him. You've got Justin Watson, who's just mid. Sky Moore's never going to step up. The Chiefs have got to make an elevation or go get somebody. And to be honest, go get 2 people. I don't know what you got to do. Go get a couple. I mean, I think I take back. I honestly would welcome MVS back at this point with this crappy team. And that's not saying much. He stinks. But he's better than what we got. You cannot tell me he's not better than Sky Moore and Justin Watson right now. He would be wide receiver 2 on this team.
It's gonna take a lot for me to say that MVS is better than anybody.
I don't want him back, but we are struggling. We are scraping the bottom of the barrel right now. And Xavier Worthy, look, he's showing flashes. Like, don't get me wrong, this kid looks good sometimes. But yesterday he was getting bullied a little bit sometimes on some of those intermediate routes. They were playing him physical. He's fine, but Mahomes overthrew him once. I get that. But Xavier Worthy you cannot ask a rookie to carry your entire offense. You cannot do it. Right.
It's not going to happen. And plus, you saw yesterday a couple of different things. 2 concerns that people had about Xavier Worthy coming in to the NFL was his size and how durable he could be. And there was at least one decent hit he got yesterday that sidelined him for a little bit. And thank God he was able to come back and he was okay. Yeah. But we also saw him get redirected all day long by the secondary. He couldn't even run the routes he was supposed to run because they're just throwing him where they want him to go. And I mean,
that's a concern, right?
You're right. It's a valid concern, especially when he is essentially your number 1 wide receiver right now. So like you said, he's got the inexperience. He's getting redirected, and we don't know at any given time what kind of hit he's going to take. He's a little guy. But at the same time, like, I'm not downing Xavier Worthy because I think he's played pretty well this year. I think he's better than I even gave him credit for as far as an all-around receiver. And I love the way that he can run the deep route, track the deep ball, make big things happen. And they can use them in those gadget plays just like they do McCole Hardman, and they're effective. So, I mean, really like what we have with Xavier Worthy. It just sucks, man. At the beginning of the season, you never would have thought, like when the Hollywood injury happened, it's like, oh, well, that's just our luck, right? We finally go get a receiver, and he gets hurt on the first play ever plays for the team, and he's going to be out for most of the season. But then, like, you have everything else kind of snowballing, like the Rashee Rice thing. Like, Patrick Mahomes lost his damn mind for 15 seconds and destroyed his receiver. And it's just like, man, we didn't see a lot of this stuff coming. But I think now that we see it, and now that we know that someone that has to be a contributing factor to this offense, and Juju Smith-Schuster is injury prone, and we know that. And you can't even down Juju for that. We knew that when we signed him back.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think you have to get some insurance there. However you have to do it. But I think that signing MVS, it's kind of stupid to me. Like, so if that's the case, just bring a guy up from the practice squad.
If you had to make your best educated guess, if the Chiefs go out and make a wide receiver trade this week, who are they grabbing?
I mean, it's such a crapshoot, dude. Who really knows? There's so many guys out there.
It has to be between Deontay Johnson and Slayton, right? That has to be the 2 guys.
Right, and I'm praying to God if it's between those two, it's Deontay Johnson. I think Deontay Johnson is one of the only few that are worth your time. Darius Slayton's not going to do anything for you. It would just be another Richie James, another Kadarius Toney, another Giants receiver that sucked there and will suck here. I don't think that that's a thing. So I don't know. Hopefully they can make a good move. I think we have a little bit of draft capital that we could play with. Like you said, we have the 2 third-round draft picks and stuff like that. So maybe they can make something happen. And here's the thing about it. Like, we're 6-0, man. Like, we're in a very, very good spot. So we're very privileged to be on here talking about what we have to do to get to a 3-peat as we're 6-0, you know? So it's like, but at the same time, you do have to be real, and we are losing pieces every freaking week. And thank God that we were able to get Juju back and have some kind of padding at wide receiver. Thank God we were able to get Kareem Hunt back in the building, who's been a huge spark ever since Isaiah Pacheco went down. I mean, it could be a totally different ball game, you know. So, I mean, we're in it. We can't complain too much, but we can definitely see that there needs to be some help coming in.
Yeah, 100%. I would prefer. I think anybody would probably prefer Deontay Johnson over Slayton. Then again, it's a pretty good split there with Chiefs Kingdom. SSG Minotaur, member for 2 months, says, "Can confirm we no longer need Blue Chew. Just that GIF of Mahomes trucking Mustafa. I'm horned." Enrique, member for 12 months, says, "ACU enjoying life in Europe with football, the soccer version, on Saturdays, and the Chiefs rolling on Sundays. NFL Game Pass, dirt cheap here." That's awesome. Then we got Horned Up in the chat. Tin Bomb says, "What's up, boys? 6-0. Let's freaking go." Appreciate the Tin Bomb brothers. 6-0. It's hard to complain.
Let's go, baby.
It's not even a complaint at this point, isn't it? Just it's an observation. It's an irking, though. It's like, my God, how much more can we get? Like, how much more do we have to deal with? Can we just? I guess nobody said the 3-peat was going to be easy, Steve.
You knew it wasn't going to be. And like, there's a reason why these things are so hard to achieve. Because, I mean, there's so many different variables year after year after year. So, I mean, the Chiefs are, not only are they mid-dynasty mode, but they're also chasing history this year. So I think you have to be a little aggressive.
Steve, KSU 1989, he says, "I'm more worried about Josh or Najee Johnson filling in for Watson as CB2 than our wide receiver issues." Are you on the same page there? Are you more worried about the corner room than the wide receiver room?
No.
I don't think I don't think
either. I don't think it's something to be passive about. I don't, because I don't think Joshua Williams and Najee Johnson have been good enough.
Yeah, to not worry about bad this year, to be honest.
Mike, Najee Johnson's been burned as many times as Joshua Williams has. Just because he's been out there more doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not played super horrible.
I don't think either of them have played horrible, but they don't look great. They're not to the level that Jaylen Watson was. And now they're having to fill that role. So I think one of them's got to step up. And that's another thing. You have 2 weeks before the trade deadline. You think they at least give this week just to see what those two can do in a bigger role? But here's the thing, and the reason why I don't think it's a bigger issue than wide receivers. The wide receiver room sucks right now. There's nothing to it. There's literally nothing to it. You got Xavier Worthy. You got Juju with a bum knee, bum hamstring, bum ankle, bum whatever. And then you got Justin Watson and Sky Moore. Who am I missing right now? Do we even have anybody else on the active roster?
It's bad, dude. It's just depleted.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do something about that wide receiver. Like, we could talk about the corner thing, and it would be a luxury to get someone to come in at corner. But I think it's a necessity to get a wide receiver at this point.
Yeah, I'm not too bummed about it. Look, Josh Williams, not counting yesterday, they don't have all of his stuff up for yesterday. But Josh Williams has played 38 defensive snaps. 33 of those were in coverage. So 5 were run defense snaps. And then 33. So he's played 33 coverage snaps on the year. He's only allowed 3 catches. So I think one of his big ones was that missed tackle there. I think it was against Cincinnati. That kind of rubbed Spags the wrong way when he missed that tackle there. But we'll see, man. I don't know if it's that bad. It might be one of those things where the more they get it, they get out there and get on the field and get into a rhythm, they start to come around. Neither one of these guys played bad. Josh Williams was one of the highest rated defenders in football last year as corner in the playoff push.
I think they can do it. I mean, that's why I'm more focused on wide receiver. But a 5-bomb from Horton, he says, if they three-peat with all this adversity, the story will be legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Okay? And it's true. And it'll just kind of show you like the grit, the toughness of Patrick Mahomes and even Andy Reid and what they can overcome. You know what I'm saying? So I think this is like, I feel like they've faced adversity a lot through the years. Like one thing, if it's not one thing, it's another. This is the first time they've really faced like the big time injury thing to where it's just like pieces are falling left and right and left and right. But I also think, like, not only do you have to have that toughness of the coaching staff and the players and guys stepping up when they need to step up, next man up, right? But I think it's also a time where Brett Veach, as the general manager of this team, has to step in and make sure that his team is fully staffed and ready to go. You know, it's like he's not running a Taco Bell. We can't just run on the skeleton crew and people will get their food when they get their food. That's not how this works. Like, if you don't get this straight, it will be a detriment to you going forward.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs got a little lucky last year when they just kind of nonchalantly handled that wide receiver room, right? You just went and got Mecole Hardman, and it just kind of worked. I think the Chiefs got to do some stuff. I'm not as worried about Jaylen Watson right now. I want to give the DBs a few weeks to see what they do. But the problem with that is by November 5th, that's 2 weeks from Tuesday, you would have already had to make a deal. So they may have 1 week to see what they got there. I just don't see the Chiefs going out and paying a big bunch of money and a big bunch of draft capital for a wide receiver and then turning around and doing it again for the corner. I just don't see Brett Veach doing that. So I think if you look at it wholly, I believe if you look at the practice squad with Keith Taylor, with Nick Jones, you've got more in the corner room than you do in the wide receiver room because obviously they're just not filling Nico and Justin Ross. Like Justin Ross wasn't lining up properly in the preseason. I don't know. I just feel like they think there's more in the corner room. We'll see, man. It's wild and it's crazy and it's just setting up for something insane here over the next few weeks. Ron with a 5-bomb. He says, what about Echo Boy Doe? There you go. Give up a 5th or 6th round pick for Johnson in Carolina. It could be very we've got a lot of options. Ron's throwing out Echo Boy Doe. Everybody kind of forgot about him. I don't even know if he's on the practice squad right now, to be honest.
Down the street.
Yeah, I think he's just off the street. He didn't even make the practice squad. He's out there working
at Wendy's, baby.
Dude, that's where Scott Moore needs to be working.
I saw somebody in the chat. Appreciate the 5, Ron. And I do like the Deontay Johnson thing. I just don't know if a 5th or 6th round would be enough to get him. Like, you're going to have to give up.
It depends on what Carolina wants to do. Carolina wants to be a little bit stubborn.
Why wouldn't they be? They know we need them.
I feel like everybody is just...
That's the thing. Since you decided to wait yet another week to do something about this, and now everybody's like, oh, yeah, Juju's hurt too. Like, people got the upper hand right now. Like, they have all the chips, okay? Yeah. So, I mean, Brett Veach is going to have to pay up, son. Marie said, I'm starting to think that Sky is kept on the field to see how long it'll take before I get some kind of stress-related meltdown. Actually, I don't know if it's that, but what I do know is they have a pool in the locker room. And you know how, like, sometimes when there's a pregnant lady and they'll have, like, a pool and they'll all put a date and whoever gets closest gets the pool of money, right? They have one of those set up and everybody's got money on when Sky Moore's actually going to catch the damn ball. So they're going to keep him there until he at least gets one catch to see who wins the pot.
Andy was actually slated for yesterday, and that's why he made that face when he dropped it.
Andy was so pissed yesterday.
Somewhere, Brett Veach flipped the table yesterday.
No, that was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but he had to have done it yesterday, too. How much more can they put up with? Like, I think this is the week you got to bring up Nico. You've got to bring up Nico. You got to bring up Justin Ross.
You have to do something. If you're not going to go get somebody, you got to bring somebody up. End of story. That was kind of negligent for them to not do that last week, and then Juju gets hurt on the first play of the game, you know. But
a lot of people are saying we're just going to bigger formations. We're running the ball more. We don't need the deep wide receivers.
We don't have to have it. I get that. But how long can you rely on the 12, 13 personnel? Like, I mean, eventually teams are going to game plan for it, and then you're in a pickle again. So Cobra Kai Ty, been a member for 15 months or longer. So 6-0, baby. Only undefeated team left. Let's freaking go. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope you're doing good, Ty. Yeah, man. I mean, 6-0, you have to be excited about it. But we could sit and talk for days about how we're going to get better for the rest of the season, I guess. But right now, we're sitting in a good position. The only thing that really kind of like puts the clamps on you a little bit is that the trade deadline's in 2 weeks. Yeah. So you don't have all the time in the world to make a move that will set the pace for the rest of the season and the playoffs. So, I mean, if you decide not to do anything because you're like, hey, Noah Gray's playing well or whatever, like what happens if that's not the case in 3 weeks?
Do you think they're expected? Well, he can't be back that quick. I was going to say, do you think they're expecting Hollywood to get back sooner than sooner than they thought? But Hollywood was still projected to be out for almost the entire season, wasn't he?
Yeah, pretty much.
So I don't know. It feels like Brett Veach is just trying to just bide time for something, but I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I think they'll make a move. I don't know if it's going to be somebody anybody wants. I don't know if it's going to be anything that horns up the fan base or anything, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not Slayton, maybe Deontay Johnson, but I feel like it'd be Slayton over Deontay Johnson. I don't know. It's wild. But, yeah, I think the wide receiver over the corner, to me, feels like more of still something they need to address. I think the corner is going to be fine. I think they'll figure it out. And, again, a lot of these corners, you start playing under Spag's system, you get used to it, you get time on the field, they'll be fine. I don't think it'll be that crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I have more confidence in the corner situation as well. But, I mean, I think everybody's just kind of tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes having to throw to Xavier Worthy, a homeless man, a water boy, and a JV player. It's just like, it's getting absurd.
Yeah, it's making Patrick even look like Patrick.
Next thing you know, they're going to get the beer guy from the stands, you know. Got your Bud Light here. Got your Bud Light. Get down here, sir. Get down here. Get suit up. Suit up.
Are you free for a one-day contract?
I saw you catch that can of beer. Get down here. Get your ass down here.
Get down here.
Right now. I mean, come on. We got to do something for my homie. He's already having a rough year, okay? QBR of ass. He ain't done that. He's thrown more interceptions than he's thrown touchdown passes. Can we please give the man a little bit of help?
Yeah, I guess that's $1 million question. What are the Chiefs going to do? And I guess we're going to keep monitoring it. But just to wrap it up, though, it's looking like Jaylen Watson broke that ankle. That's what they feared. We got a 5-bomb from Minotaur. He says, how ready is everyone from Checo Hunt goal line formation? It's going to be fun. I think Pacheco's slated to come back probably within the next 3 to 5 weeks, depending on how long that 21-day practice window, how long he needs to get back, get rolling on that ankle, Steve. But we didn't even see Clyde yesterday. So he's still going to be back at some point. The Chiefs are they've switched. We've watched the Chiefs change from a high-powered offense and all off-season long. They made moves to make Mahomes have more weapons. They wanted to push the ball down the field. And then now we're doing a different kind of football, but to be honest, it's working.
You have to adapt, man. You have to be able to adapt. If you're going to keep winning year after year, you have to evolve. So I mean, if you look back at the Patriots when they were in their dynasty, there were times where Tom Brady and them's offense sucked and the defense carried. And there were times when they were a running team. There was times when they were high flying, when they had Randy Moss. You have to be able to adapt and to do what it takes to win each year, because each year you have a different team in a different situation.
Yep, 100%. Appreciate the 5-bomb, brother. Steve, yeah, we'll keep monitoring the situation. I don't think they're going to release any more on it today. I think they got to do more testing. But I guess the next thing is Brett Veach going to be able to pull off a move at wide receiver. Maybe he surprises people, goes after a corner. Maybe he goes out and gets a tackle. Who knows? I thought the offensive line played pretty well yesterday.
Well, I think one thing they got to do is they're going to have to restructure Juwan Taylor, free up some money, and make a move is what they're going to have to do.
Yeah, they need to do something. But anyways, man, I guess that's going to wrap it up. We appreciate you guys for being here. Hit that like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't already. All chiefed up, baby. Come get that Chiefs news. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. Steve, you got anything left for me?
Come on. No, man. Y'all have a good one. I mean, we're still 6-0, so be happy. But be on the lookout, though, because I do think a move of some sort is on the way.
It almost has to be, right?
It has to be. So just keep your eyes open.
Keep your eyes out. Go Chiefs.
There goes a sight from my soul.